What's up everyone, welcome to another review video. Before we get started, to be entered for my giveaway, all you have to do is like this video, comment, and make sure you're subscribed. If you really want, you could turn on that notification bell to get notified each time I post. That's not a requirement though. As always, quick channel update. As my wife finishes The Last of Us, I'm playing Days Gone, along with Resident Evil 2 Remake Claire's Run, both of which I will be doing reviews on. Early next week, my wife will be joining me for an in-depth look at The Last of Us Part 2, where we will explore various aspects of that game, and I will interview her about her experience. Later that week, we will be teaming up to talk about the importance of representation in video games. If you're listening to this in the future, you can find them posted on my channel. Finally, I will be doing a review of Claire's Run once I'm finished, and a video discussing the differences between RE2 and 3. Enough of updates, let's get started. Before we begin, there will be major spoilers involved in this video. In the future, if it's something you want, I will do spoiler-free reviews as well. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in that. If you watched my Resident Evil 3 Remake in-depth review and analysis, you already know how this is gonna go. I'll be using the same format for Leon's Run 1, or A, breaking it down into 5 sections: level design, atmosphere, weapons/enemies, difficulty, story, with a total score at the end. Full disclosure, as my first run of this game, I played on assisted mode. To jump right into the level design. The Resident Evil games I'm coming to learn are brilliant. Keep in mind, I am discussing from Leon's Run 1 point of view only at this point. The level design is unlike any I have ever played in a game. Let me explain. For example, you start in the police station, move into the parking garage underneath, into the sewers, and finally in the lab. Each individual section is lengthy, detailed, and one big puzzle. This game has a slight learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, it's challenging and remains fun as well as exciting. I enjoyed the level design because by the time you finished an area, you could see how it all connected back together to form one enormous puzzle. I never left an area feeling like I wasn't finished with it, aside from the police station. That being said, once I was about 2/3 through the game, I was able to clean up RPD. The maps are very detailed and serve as a roadmap through each section. One of the most important parts of this game are the save rooms. Games can go wrong with giving you too many save opportunities, which makes some of the gameplay not feel worth it or risky, or provide an adequate amount of anxiety, not giving you enough opportunities to save, making it too difficult and frustrating. I am pleased with how Resident Evil took this on giving you an autosave feature, but also strategically placing rooms you can save in throughout each section. These rooms serve an additional purpose: inventory management. I will discuss more on this in the weapons section as it pertains to ammo. However, I struggled some throughout my playthrough because I would make tough inventory choices instead of running back to one of these handy rooms, storing stuff, and coming back to pick up more. There is a basic but fulfilling crafting system. I love taking small resources, making them into something usable. In my current playthrough of Claire's second run, I am collecting all the supplies I can, and hoarding them. The levels throughout Resident Evil 2 put enough stress on you to keep your attention, but never felt like the levels or sections were too difficult. Each level or section requires a key or a keycard to progress throughout the level. Oftentimes, getting that key is part of the puzzle. I found this to be part of the learning curve, but once you knew what to look for, this aspect got a lot easier. I appreciate that this game allows you to explore but keeps you within the bounds they want you in by having locked doors, making it more like a linear exploration rather than an open world. I can't imagine a Resident Evil experience that's open world. Can you? Let me know down below. That would be an interesting concept. The only level that left me feeling frustrated with the design was the sewers. I got more lost in there than I have in any other game. This is due to the multiple levels and how they change throughout your experience. That doesn't describe well what I mean. Here's an example. You see a point on the map, maybe it's up a floor. You think to yourself, I just need to find stairs and I'll be there. Nope, in the sewers it requires going up and down, then back up and down, then up again, and then somehow you're on the right floor. It's confusing, at least it was for me. Maybe this was easier for others, but I really struggled with this section. The puzzles in this part were significantly easier for me than navigating the map. All in all, the level design in this game was nearly perfect. Due to the sewers being a frustrating experience for me, I feel that could have been done slightly better. I'm gonna give this section a 4.75 out of 5. Move on to atmosphere. If you've watched literally any of my other videos, you know that atmosphere and environment are one of the most important aspects of video games for me. Resident Evil 2 Remake did not disappoint. I never had the pleasure to play the original, but I'm sure it's a great upgrade from the 1998 version. If not, we have some serious problems. No, I'm just kidding, it obviously does. Each section, as I discussed previously, how this game is divided up, is brilliantly arranged and provides an aesthetically pleasing and enriched environment to explore and be immersed in. Even within each section, it is designed such that when you look around, you feel like you're actually there because of the amount of detail they put into this game. It's not a great place to feel like you're there because, it's a pretty scary environment, but nonetheless, you're immersed. No atmosphere or section is repetitive, so I never got tired of what I was looking at. Some games, every area you go to has similar colors, items, decor, etc. Within RPD, what you are looking at is varied. It ranges from office settings to old art galleries to creepy bloody messes to policey department-y type of stuff. Yes, I know English. Your first third of the game is in RPD, and they could have made each room basically the same. However, they gave you a lot of variation, leaving you plenty to explore and look at. I wish this game had a photo mode. It may, and I missed it. I don't think so. But that would be a good addition because it has #photo-worthy opportunities. I already discussed how much I disliked the sewers. This was probably the least aesthetically pleasing part of the game. However, I'm not going to take points away for that. Because, you're in sewers. They did a great job of making it what it was supposed to be. Gross, gritty, and dirty. The area of the game I found the most #photo-worthy was the lab. The lab section was colorful, intriguing, fairly realistic for the setting, vibrant, varied, and I just really enjoyed my time there. I'm going to include tone within the atmosphere section. It's important that games use the environment, levels, and mission types, etc. to make you feel whatever way they are aiming at. In Resident Evil, it's basically survival horror. You should feel wary about what might be around the next corner, or have moments when you're like, what was that? I definitely had plenty of those moments. I think the developers nailed it with tone. I was constantly thinking about what may be coming next, or what was behind the door I had my hand on the handle of. I would stand there on doors just with my hand like, I don't know if I want to open this. That's like where they nail the tone in this game. The tone matched the story, which can be really hard to pull off. For the reasons I just listed, I'm going to give atmosphere in this game a 5 out of 5. Now we're moving on into weapons and enemy types, which includes the balancing between enemies and resources. Resources are sometimes hard to come by in this game, and you want to make every shot count. However, I never found myself in a situation that was impossible due to lack of resources provided to me unless it was my fault, meaning I left stuff behind due to poor inventory management or I didn't adequately plan out an attack. The game wouldn't match the tone and story if there wasn't some stress surrounding your inventory. For Leon, I mostly used his handgun. However, when I had the ammo for it, I used the Lightning Hawk and the shotgun. You do eventually get a chemical flamethrower if you solve a puzzle in the sewers, as well as a rocket launcher at the very end of the game. The weapons and enemy types are appropriately balanced in this game. I never felt like I couldn't take out an enemy with the bare minimum. It might be much more difficult, but it could be done. If puzzles are solved, or if you're able to discover them, the game gives you weapon upgrades and add-ons that are very helpful. Resident Evil doesn't hand you anything. It's there if you look hard enough, and you can find it yourself. There are plenty of different enemy types in this game, and ways to learn about each enemy and what would be your best plan of attack. The most common enemy is a zombie, which can be taken out with basically anything. Certain sections of the game have zombie dogs, and they are more difficult because they move in spontaneous ways that make it hard to predict your shots, leading to sometimes wasting ammo. The enemy that hangs out with you throughout the whole game is a tyrant, aka T-103 or Mr. X. You can hear his loud footsteps surrounding you. It's absolutely terrifying. Sometimes you think he's coming through a door in front of you, and he grabs your face from behind. You have two choices when dealing with him: run for your life, or use your resources to down him. When I was low on ammo, I found it helpful to use a flashbang and run around him. I will discuss him further in the character section. Next up are lickers. I didn't find them to be too much of a challenge. They more so pop out of nowhere and take you by surprise. Lickers and Mr. X were a large portion of my jump scares. In the lab, you come across IV enemies, which are nice to look at, but again, the game gives you variety with how to approach them. You can set them on fire and they die for good. I found this out later. Or you can shoot them in their hit spots and down them. I was proud of my aim here. While in the lovely and fun sewers, you faced the giant alligator. This thing gave me so much trouble, which it shouldn't have, but man, I thought I was playing Dark Souls for a minute. And all you have to do is run side to side. I don't know what my problem was. I don't know, okay? Also within the sewers are G-types that can poison you, leaving you with more problems than just ammo. I found their hitboxes difficult and preferred to deal with them by shoving a grenade in their mouth. Sounds terrible, I know, but that was probably my highlight of being stuck in the sewers. Finally, we can discuss G and his many forms. You get his backstory and find out he has a name, William Birkin. However, Mr. William can be very difficult to deal with if you're not prepared. Other than the final boss battle, I found Will the most difficult enemy to take out. I am glad Resident Evil games give you plenty of monsters to fight and take out along with zombies. Again, I found it was balanced but also challenging enough that I wasn't getting bored in fights. For this section, I'll give it a 5 out of 5. Balancing enemies and weapons, also with ammo and crafting, so many games go wrong here. I feel like Resident Evil nails this. Let me know down below if you agree. If not, I would love to hear your opinion. Difficulty. I have already discussed this briefly throughout the review so far, but let's discuss more in depth the difficulty throughout Resident Evil 2. Difficulty in games can range between being so easy you quit, because what's the point, and being so hard you might as well go play Dark Souls. I honestly feel like Resident Evil's difficulty on assisted mode is right where it needs to be. I actually didn't die at all until the sewers when the shipping container knocked me off the map. I think that was the sewers, pretty sure. But anyways, whatever part the shipping container knocks you off the map. Yeah, I died there. However, you may think, wow, that's a long time to go without struggling. Oh, trust me, I was struggle busting throughout the whole game. Difficulty doesn't always equal deaths. This is something I stress in my reviews. If we all based our difficulty on just if we died and had to retry, that's not accurate to the game as a whole. I found the puzzles to be challenging enough, they really made me think at points. I love video games that make me think and use my brain. I mean, this was to the point I had to get out a pencil and paper to write down directions and pieces of the puzzle. My opinion of this may change if I ever go up in difficulty. Time will tell with that one. Just plain and simple, the difficulty is set where it should be according to what mode you pick up, at least speaking for assisted. For difficulty as a whole, I don't think they could have done a better job. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 here as well. Before we land this plane on a final score, let's discuss the characters. Let me remind you that I did Leon's run first. I didn't get to see much of Claire throughout it. I would have liked to interact with her more throughout the story, but I understand how the design of the game forced them to experience this journey separately. I would have liked to have her or someone else with me more throughout the journey, as I feel that dialogue could have told me more about the characters and what they were thinking or feeling throughout the game. Much of the story is told through journals and letters you find. This is actually one of my favorite ways stories are told in games. Just right behind dialogue, which I feel was slightly lacking, especially in the beginning. I can't really say much about Claire, except I am excited to play as her. A large portion of character development surrounds Leon and Ada later in the game. At first, I'm sure most people who were playing this for the first time felt like I did, and really liked Ada. She came off as strong, independent, who hacks and gets shit done. She is cool, calm, and collected throughout the entire game, and their time together. I will say, because of this, I was suspicious of her from the start. My suspicions really rose when she kissed Leon. It just felt abrupt and manipulative. At the end of their time together, I didn't really see her as a villain. We all have our stories that lead us to our motives and decision making. I would honestly like to know more about her. Leon is a kind and gentle guy who cares about people around him, including Ada. He has small interactions with another police officer named... I don't remember his name. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it. I think it might have been Melvin. See, just that. I would like to have known more about him, but he is kind of Leon's sidekick. However, he is injured while in the police station. I hated that I had to kill him, but it was better to put him out of his misery. Toward the end of the game, you were introduced to Annette Birkin, who is G's wife. The storytelling here is probably one of the best and strongest of the game, as it gives their backstory and why Antoinette is making the choices she is. She also is kind of a villain, but not really. I mean, all these characters are stuck in their worst case scenarios trying to figure out what to do. Umbrella ruined their lives as well. I'm referring to the workers and scientists. Umbrella as a corporation is just evil. They are really the main villain in this game, like as a whole. I understand that different people work for Umbrella and whatnot, but the corporation as a whole is really the major enemy in this game. Finally, my BFF Joe, Mr. X. He just terrorizes you throughout the game. I'm not sure how they could do this, but I would have liked to see more of his story or feel more connected to him as a villain, because he seriously follows you everywhere. All in all, I feel like the story is well told. Because I am doing a review, I will give this section a 4.75 out of 5, just because I feel like there's slight room for character growth or character backstories. Maybe I missed some of this. This is why we play games that we love multiple times after all. Let me know down below, do you agree with my points here? If not, let me know what you think. Averaging out my scores from each section brings my overall score for Resident Evil 2 Remake, Leon's first run, a 4.9 out of 5. That's really high. That's why it's on my list of favorite game franchises of all time, even though I'm new to these games. I obviously really enjoy them. That being said, I don't often enjoy horror, but I think it's well timed and placed here. What did you rate this game? I want to know, let's talk about it. As always, thank you so much for being here. You can look for more of this in the future. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you when we play as Claire. I'll catch up with you in the comments.